Hello everyone, it's Andrew from GemTCG here, and today's video will be focused on investing in sealed Pokemon product and why I think you should not be investing in it right now. And then also talk about a better way to use that money to make more money with your business. And before we get into that, I know there's going to be a lot of you that think or have the opinion that investing in sealed product is a great idea. And I agree to some extent, but I think right now we are at a time where maybe you should not be doing it. And I'll explain it throughout this video, but just try to hear me out, I guess. And also, I do have a Patreon if you need help starting and growing your eBay store. So check that out with the link in the description. So the reason I bring this video up today is because the market is like very hot right now, and it's been hot for this whole year. But all these new sets coming out, they release, and then it's like impossible to get the product. They're selling for like double market price or double MSRP or whatever, and a bunch of scalpers, all those things that typically happens during like booms in the market, similar to COVID time. And with prices going up with the newer products, it also pushes up the older products. And so when people see that and they see that, a Fusion Strike booster box is worth $500 or something crazy like that, and they see a Scarlet Violet new set coming out with the booster box at $200, they'll think, oh, if I just buy this and wait a few years, it'll be worth 2 to 3 times what I paid, or maybe even more. And historically, that is true. Like things that came out 2 to 3 years ago are basically double what the MSRP is or was at the time. So anyone that would have bought at that time made a good investment. So I'm not negating that investing in sealed product is a good thing and you can make money from it. I just want to explain what I would recommend and what I am actually going to do moving forward instead of just investing in sealed product, because during the COVID time, I did buy a bunch of it. I had like 60K or 70K in sealed inventory that I built over the past 3 years. Most of it being the sets that came out after Battle Styles. So, like Evolving Skies, Fusion Strike, Chilling Rain, all the good ones. I got lucky. And my investment basically tripled. But it did come at a cost that I want to let you all be aware of so that you don't make these same mistakes, and that so you could use this money that you would be spending on sealed product for something better and to make more money. So first thing I'm going to talk about is why I think you shouldn't be investing in it right now. And the reason why I say that is because, like I mentioned earlier, the market is at an all-time high. Every set that's coming out now is double what the MSRP is, or like very hard to get. And if you were to get lucky and buy it at retail price, or maybe a store is selling it for like a little bit above retail price, you could take that and then just flip it to make your profit instead of buying it and then holding on to it for a few years and then selling. Because what I did is all of my inventory I bought from distributors or a distributor. I only had one distributor at the time, and they have since closed, but I bought it from them, and then sometimes I would buy it from other collectors that were just like fire selling their inventory. And all of my stuff was bought at basically MSRP, and Sword and Shield MSRP was a lot lower than what the Scarlet Violet one is. I think I was paying around $100 per box at most. So I was getting a very cheap price. And for box, I mean booster boxes. And I was getting them for that, like let's just say $100. But the market price at the time was a lot more than what I was paying. So I could have went and just flipped it, made my quick like 50 to 100% profit, and then use that cash to just reinvest. But instead, I was using that same mentality of, oh, if the sun and moon sets are already up like 5x to what they used to be, then just imagine what these sets will be a few years from now. So instead of selling it to make my 100% profit, I held on to them, and I held on to them for 3 years until now, to where now I'm like, okay, let me just make some money back from them because I do have some big expenses coming up. So I want to get some capital for that. And also because I do think I'm making, or I not think, I know I'm making more money from just selling singles. So I think that money would be better used in that field, which is, I will talk about that more too. But yeah, I was holding on to them, and This led to me having basically all of my profits being locked up into sealed inventory for over 3 years, which slowed down my scaling for the inventory of singles, because anytime I would make like $1,000 profit, I would then go look to buy a booster box case. And luckily, it did work out. Like I did get a lot of profit from those boxes that I bought, especially with certain sets like Fusion Strike, Evolving, and Chilling Rain. But then some other sets, not as big of a return, but still a profit. And then it also led to me having to have a huge amount of space available just to hold these boxes, which is one other thing. Like if you're limited on space, you can't really just buy this and then hold on to it for years, because if you keep buying inventory or like sealed product to just sit on, it'll get to a point where it's overflowing and you won't have enough room to hold it all, and then it's just going to become a big mess. So that's one issue, or small issue, I guess. But the big issue with what I'm talking about right now is that it locked up a lot of my capital and kind of slowed down my scaling for the like eBay store for a long time, because I bought it. Let me backtrack a little bit. I bought it during the peak again, and then I could have sold it. It was at like double MSRP, whatever. But then I didn't sell it. I held on to it. A year later, those same boxes that were worth double MSRP tanked and they became a lot cheaper. I'm pretty sure they were still above MSRP and still had a good value, but instead of being like 100% profit, it was probably like a 20% profit or something like that. I don't know the exact numbers, but the liquidity was gone, the market prices tanked, and it just became something that I had to hold on to. It wasn't as bad as like Rudy's, the famous bathroom story, but the market the last 2 years were pretty bad, more so during the introduction of the Scarlet Violet block, but things were not selling and market prices were pretty low for these boxes. So even if I wanted to sell them, I could not, unless I wanted to just accept taking a lower profit. And of course, me having like one, not needing the cash, and then two, having that mindset that like, oh, if these older sets went up 5x, then what I have should, I don't want to sell it until it gets to that point. So I was being a little bit stubborn, which I'm glad I did, but it's not as easy as people make it seem to sell these sealed products, which moves me on to the next point, which is the selling of them. Because everyone talks about, okay, if you buy this booster box and it's $100, but you could sell it on Marketplace or like TCG Player for 150. Most people would see that and be like, okay, there's a $50 profit here. But they don't seem to realize that there's the shipping and the fees involved, which is, of course, there's shipping and fees involved for everything, but with sealed product, it becomes a lot bigger of an issue, because let's say someone buys 100 cards from me, like just singles. I could ship that to them for $4. Whether they buy 20 cards or 100 cards, it still costs me $4 to $5, which is nothing. But let's say someone bought one booster box from me. It would probably cost me like $8 or $10 to ship it. Let's say they bought 10 booster boxes from me. It'll cost probably like 20 or something dollars. So the dollar amount becomes a lot more expensive when it comes to shipping sealed product. And this is just with booster boxes. ETBs are a different story. Collection boxes, another different story. Cases, way more expensive to ship. So it just becomes a big hassle, and it is very hard to sell them without taking a huge loss on the shipping and the fees. Which brings me to the next thing of like, when you see that the shipping and the fees are so much, you're going to want to sell locally or sell on Facebook. But then everyone on Facebook is looking to buy it at 70% market price or 50, like some very low number for sealed, because they know that like if you're selling your sealed product, you don't want to ship it and you don't want to deal with people online, because it can get damaged in shipping. People could get the box and open it, but then say you sent a fake box and then you just get screwed out of that whole thing. There's a lot more risk involved with sealed product, because the value in it is that it's sealed. So if someone buys it and then they open it or something, or like they mess with the packaging, it loses a lot of value. So there's that risk is there. And with selling, like let's just say singles, it's a lot easier and more liquid to sell those because most people can afford a $5 card or a $10 card, but not a lot of people can afford a $20,000 sealed product collection. So your sample size of like the not sample size, but your target audience for who would be buying from you is a lot smaller. And typically they are store owners, so they can't even afford, like, they can't even be able to pay you near market price because they need to make a profit and they need to pay rent and all that. So it makes sense, but it's just very hard to sell sealed product in a big sale unless you're selling at like 50% market price or something really low. Because even during the absolute peak when I made my big sale for the sealed product, the highest offer I was able to get was 85% for like 9 sealed booster box cases from Sword and Shield era. So if someone is willing to give 85% on those like premium sealed inventory, just imagine what they would get on like loose booster boxes or ETBs or collection boxes, like the less in demand stuff. You'd be looking at maybe 60% at most, unless you get lucky and find someone that's willing to just pay a high amount. And of course, you could sell it on eBay and TCG Player, just eat the fees and the shipping and see how that goes. I've never done it before, but I'm sure you can do it. I just don't know how it would go because of the shipping costs being so much higher and eating up a lot of the profit. So if you do that, let me know how that goes for you because I might start doing that. And then if it goes well, I will make a video on it soon. But let's head on over to the next part, which is why I think you shouldn't be buying it right now. Because during a bear market, of course, buy as much sealed product as you can get. But during a bull market like this one, where sealed product comes out and then it's worth double the double the MSRP, unless you're gonna buy it right now to flip it immediately, you should not be buying inventory for like sealed products right now. And what you should do instead is take that money and then buy collections of raw singles to then flip it on eBay and or even grade them and flip them if you want to do that. I don't recommend it, but you can do the grading method. And the reason why I say this is because if you bought a collection for let's say $1,000 and you paid 70% market, you listed it at 30% above market. So after all the fees and the shipping, you'll net around 30% profit. So right there, you'll be making $300 on that collection, assuming everything goes well, there's no returns or anything. And then let's compare that to you buying a sealed booster box case for $1,000. In order for that thing to go up 30%, you need you need to wait a lot longer because one, boxes don't just fly up in price like constantly. They kind of stay stagnant for a long time and then all of a sudden they jump. So you might be waiting a year for that to happen. You might be waiting 2 years, 3 years. You never know. Where in the meantime, you could have bought that collection and then in a few months made your money back and then reinvested that money and then made another 30% and consistently keep doing that. So that way you're taking $300 profit, making more 300, 300 again, 300, and then you keep doing it. And in the long term, even if that sealed booster box case doubled, let's say it went from 1,000 to 2,000, sure, you'd be up $1,000. And then after shipping and fees, let's say 1,800. Whereas you could have bought a bunch of like singles and then flipped them, and in the span of like a year or two, you would have made way more than the amount that that booster box would have appreciated by. And of course, if you have like not a lot of time to be flipping singles, then it might make sense to be buying sealed inventory to sit on and then sell like a few years down the line. But if you have the time and you want to be in this hobby slash business for a long time, your best bet would be to do what I'm saying and buy the singles, flip them, reinvest, and then keep doing that process. Because in like a 2 year time span, you will be making a lot more money than from just buying sealed product to sit on. And another tip is that it's something that Pokey Steve mentioned in one of his videos. He said it was about this. Like he was trying to tell people not to invest in sealed product because one thing people don't realize is like it is a different market when it comes to selling sealed product. And unless you have experience doing that, you shouldn't really be buying it to invest in because you will have to sell it. It's not like a stock where you just buy a stock, you see the price goes up, and then you just click a button and it sells, and then you get your money. With sealed product, you have to buy it, comes in, verify everything's good, and then at the time you plan to sell it, you're gonna have to take some pictures, figure out the pricing, post it online, and then find a buyer. And then maybe you'll have to ship it. Maybe you can meet locally. All that, but you have to understand how to do that before you start investing in sealed product because that's one thing I didn't do when I bought my stuff. I never really sold anything online with like sealed product related. So when it came to actually selling them earlier this year when I made a bigger sale, I had no tools to do it. I didn't have any boxes ready for me to ship them, no bubble wrap or proper shipping practices. And one thing I did ship, it did get messed up. Like the wrapping part kind of got ripped off because I didn't ship it properly. And like small mistakes like this are things that you need to practice and be aware of if you are planning to buy and invest in sealed product. Because if you were to say, like, if you were to buy Evolving Skies box and then a few years down the line, you sold it to someone online, and then when you ship it to them, it gets damaged in transit because you didn't ship it properly. You have no experience with how to ship them, so you didn't know what to do. And then it gets to the seller or the buyer damaged, and then you're basically going to have to refund them. You lost all your money on that deal because it's damaged now, and it's going to be a lot harder to sell it. So to prevent that issue from happening, you're going to want to get some practice in with like actually shipping out sealed product. And now would be the perfect time to do that because we are in a bull market with like all the new sets coming out and they're worth double what the MSRP is. So you could buy them now and flip them so you can make a profit and get that practice in. So that way down the line, if you do plan on investing, you will know how to properly ship them all and like the best process for selling sealed product online. But yeah, overall, the main thing I want you guys to take away from this is that if you are to buy sealed inventory right now, yes, 5 years down the line, it will most likely be worth more than what you paid for it. But in that meantime, there's a high chance that the market will go down again. And if a box is worth like 200 right now, it might go down to $100. And then sure, 5 years later, it's worth like 400. But you're gonna have to sit through that bear market if you plan to invest in the sealed product right now. So what I would recommend to do is while the market is hot, invest in singles and start flipping those. And then when the market cools down, singles aren't selling as often, sealed isn't worth as much, then you start buying the sealed product because then you are one, paying a much lower price, and two, you are closer to the next rise if you buy during a bear market. Because right now we are already in a bull market. So then everything that's coming out right now is going to have to go through a bear market to then hit that next bull market and actually peak, similar to what happened with the Sword and Shield block. But yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. Let me know if you agree or disagree, what you plan on doing with this like current market, and how your experience has been with investing in sealed products so far. But yeah, hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you all with the next video.